Shout out to all of you who are still here. We got an individual today who I can really relate to, and to be honest, if I was younger, I probably would have made a video like this. Nah, probably not, but yeah. I like my anonymity, as you can tell. But yeah, this individual really likes his anonymity to the point where he didn't even show his own face. He actually made this drawing. Interesting drawing. But yeah, this individual named Sloth details how he has been excelled by his own race. And trust me, he's not the only one. You aren't alone, brother. If there's nothing else I can tell you, you are not alone. You are not walking alone.
Okay, right now, I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a reject within your own race. You see, in my opinion, I feel like if you are a black man who is non-stereotypical, your life is going to feel like a curse. It is easier to exist in this world as a black guy who fits into the stereotype. And I believe that's the case because within the black community, if you do not adhere to the prescriptive ideas of what it means to be a black person, you're going to be tortured everywhere you go. Because everywhere you go, black people are going to view you and see you as an outsider. You're going to be labeled as whitewashed or an Uncle T, if you catch my drift, or they're going to call you a raccoon. Just simply due to the fact that you do not conform to their idea of what it means to be black. Like, I never understood that. How is a black person supposed to act? How is a black person supposed to be, talk? What is a black guy supposed to listen to? Like, growing up, I always felt opposite to what they told me black was. So in my mind, I never felt attached to my race, or I never felt attached enough to my race to make my entire personality and identity my skin color.
First of all, I always state that you should never attach your identity to your skin color. That is for cave and hut dwelling minded people. Honestly, these individuals who want to talk about tribalism, everyone is going into all their own tribes and we're becoming populist and like populism is in style. Let me tell you something about that. People who identify themselves by their own race or their tribe or their skin color are individuals who have, one, not achieved anything, and two, are snitching on themselves that they will never achieve anything in life. And three, let's just be honest, culture, regardless of what it is, culture is forced. If it is forced, I should say. If you choose your own culture, that's one thing, but if it is forced down your throat, it is basically just cult shit. I'm just going to say this. It is cult shit. And a lot of people will get pissed off if you don't eat the cult shit down your throat, like they did. Basically, in order to stay in good graces with so-called other people who they don't like or who don't like them, but they just wanted to belong in the tribe. Oh my goodness, a freaking tribe. This is why the world's going down the shitter, is because a lot of this tribal cultural crap is being shoved down a lot of people's throats who shouldn't receive it, quite frankly, because cultural compatibility is a real thing.
So for the longest time, I've always viewed myself as a brain occupying a meat sack or inhabiting a meat sack or a vessel, pretty much. And that has caused me a lot of alienation because I would go over family members' houses and they would all just be dancing at a barbecue or listening to, hip-hop songs or R&B songs. And I always felt secluded because I was never into that. I don't hate that culture, but when it came to like black culture or like hood culture or street culture, I never felt attached to it. I was always into alternative things. The music I listened to was alternative. The way I dressed was very alternative. My hobbies and interests were all different from what black people took to. So you can imagine all that did was just label me in their minds as a traitor, and
I'm not surprised that some of them, maybe it's in his head that a lot of people label him as a traitor, but to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a plurality of people did, and what he's saying is valid for at least 40% of the people that he's encountered, including family members, because that's just a hive mind for you. And also, this is definitely more of a socioeconomic thing where you have now a lot of individuals, even blacks of middle and upper middle class status, subscribe to hood culture. I mean, you see it right now. You have middle class places, middle and high schools, where the women will still choose Pookie and Ray Ray. I don't care what a lot of people say about, well, if a black woman chooses Pookie and Ray Ray, then look where she's from, and look, no, that doesn't work like that. Sorry, no. It is a cultural thing that's shoved down a lot of people's throats. It is cultural shit. It's cult shit. I'm just going to say it's not even culture, it's cult. And a lot of people eat it because it gets them further in life. And a lot of the guys you see who subscribe to this hood culture, let's just be honest, if you put them in a corner, if I did this, if I was an actual bully and I pick these little swag hacks up and put them in a freaking corner, shove them to a freaking locker, nobody was there to protect them, none of their boys and them, what would they really say? Oh man, my man, I'm just cosplaying, man. I'm just cosplaying a thug. I was just doing this for the hoes, man. That's what a lot of them would say. A lot of them don't even believe it. It's because the broads believe it.
That's so unfortunate, man, because, black people love to talk about how other races treat them badly and how everyone hates black people. We're so tortured by the world and we're victims, and they always fail to acknowledge how black people destroy other black people. And it's like when you do bring that up, they either brush past it quickly or they just invalidate your experience. Because in most black people's minds, racism or hatred or discrimination only matters when it's coming from a white person. And that's what black people have been indoctrinated to think. They think that black on black hatred or black on black bullying or black on black violence doesn't matter that much. It's like, that's why I don't talk to anyone IRL about this. Because
let's just be honest, a lot of those in the community, the mediocre Negroes, the baby's kids, those who subscribe to the community culture, they are practicing the same kind of racism or bigotry that the so-called racists, not so-called, but the actual racists are practicing towards blacks. So, yeah, a lot of these people can't even speak. And I lived in a place where this, let's just say, Negro on black racism occurred, or baby kid on black racism occurred, or hood on black racism occurred, ninja on black racism occurred. And it's fucking racism. I know this might be demonetized, but yeah, because of the cuss word. Well, this is PG-13. I'm not showing my chest. I'm not showing tits here. Anyway, this better be monetized because this is all fact. What this guy's saying is all facts, and what I'm saying is all facts. You, the community, not the people watching, but the community cannot hold this back. They want to talk about racism here, racism there. Let's talk about the racism that the ninjas have put on non-stereotypical blacks. Let's talk about that. And if you all keep on going, let's talk about reparations. Pookie and Shanae, guys like him, reparations.
it's just going to be an endless argument, and I'm tired of arguing. This video was not to preach self-hate. I'm not making this so you can, be on my side. I'm just trying to share my experience because I'm tired of black people being hypocrites, so it's just, I don't know, it's backwards to me, so backwards. But yeah, man, my experience as a black outsider was just very brutal. Growing up, going to inner city schools, black kids would pick on me every single day. The black boys would physically assault me and call me names and just bully me every day. And it got to a point to where I had to defend myself so much that I was always getting sent to the principal's office because I was always getting into fights, and it was just so unfair that I had to go through that treatment. And when it came to black girls...
Now, he said something interesting. When he defended himself, he was the one who had to go to the principal's office. So he probably went to a predominantly hood school. I might say predominantly black. Predominantly ninja-ran school where the administrators were probably the same Negroes or same kind of people who were bullying people like him back in their day. Because let's just be honest. You want to talk about system white supremacy? There's a system, a ninja supremacy that is being allowed by a system of white supremacy. That's real racism. That's what we really need to call out. This goes to show that once more, Pookie and Shanae owe this guy reparations.
They were very open and vocal about how they felt about me. And it was always negative. They always told me how ugly I was. They always told me that I was lame. They told me I was a loser because I didn't wear Jordans. I didn't wear Nikes. I didn't care about Chief Keef or whatever rapper was popular during that time. You know what I mean? Like, it's so brutal because I was just trying to exist as a normal kid. And I was always lumped into, just some social war or like some identity war. And I didn't care about
that. Hey, you can't exist. You gotta sack your pants. You gotta talk, you got marbles in your mouth. You gotta act like you just came out on a plantation or out of a rap video. You can't exist as a young black boy. That is against the American way of life, especially in the 21st century.
That stuff. Like, even growing up, I never cared about looking nice. I never cared about dressing like a hood kid. Like, all of the hood kids wore the same exact... Like, they all dressed the same. Every hood kid wore Jordans, some type of polo t-shirt, or Aeropostale, or Hollister, or they wore True Religion jeans, because, I went to school... I was in middle school in the mid 2010s or early 2010s. Ooh. So that was the style back in the day, just Hollister, Aeropostale, all of those name brand clothing.
Funny enough, Hollister and Aeropostale were actually considered white in the 2000s. Ask me how I know.
Companies or whatever. And even till this day, I am a very minimalistic person. I have one pair of shoes. They're Converses. I don't care about I don't care about anything. Like,
You might want to get more than one pair of shoes, just in case those pairs of shoes might not be for the occasion, or those pair of shoes end up breaking down. That's just a word to the wise.
I thrift my clothes. I don't care about wearing designer clothing, but not to drag it out. But yeah, that's what all the kids would tease me about because I was just so different. And it just made my high school experience and my middle school experience a living nightmare. But it's funny because when I attended a predominantly white school or a predominantly Hispanic school, I never faced bullying. I never had to fight a white person. I never fought a Hispanic person. The most I could say was that I was still invisible. I was still a loser, but at least I was not getting picked on every single day. You know what I mean? But it's slightly different when it came to the Hispanic school because when I went to a predominantly Hispanic school, I was more accepted. And it's weird like that. Like growing up for me, I always had a love for Mexican people or just Hispanic people in general because from a young age, I was exposed to Mexican culture because my dad was dating a Mexican girl for a couple of years and she would bring us around her family and her family would embrace me and they used to show me how they, cooked and they showed me how their culture was from a very young age. I was exposed to Mexican culture and growing up, I always had a love for Mexican people because of that, because they always showed me love and they always respected me and it was different, I felt more connected to them than I did to black people, And it's funny too because even Mexican girls were nicer to me. I'll never forget when I was like 16.
Wow. This definitely mirrors my experience because out of all the races that I've dealt with and interacted with, you know which race treated me the least like shit? The least like shit? The one that I actually kept the most friends in? Latinos. Exactly. Not necessarily Mexicans because I grew up on the East Coast, Washington, D.C. They're mostly Salvadorians and Salvadorians, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. Those are the main three races, and then to a lesser degree, you got some Peruvians, Mexicans, Cubans. But yeah, this guy is speaking a legitimate story or legitimate fact that I can definitely relate to.
Like one of the because I mean it's no surprise I'm still like single. I never had a girlfriend, but one of the only girls in my life who actually found me to be attractive was like this Hispanic girl when I was 16, and I'm like a mental cell slash like I am sub 5, but I am still like a mental cell. But I never talked to her, right? I was just I don't know, I was too in my own head at the time. I thought that no one could find me attractive, but supposedly I was told that this Hispanic girl called me cute or whatever, but I didn't believe whoever told me that anyway. But yeah, but that never happened with black girls. Black girls never told me I was attractive, and it's not just about women. It's not just about girls. I'm just saying like they didn't judge me because I feel like other races and other cultures don't have the same standards as black people. Black people have the standard that if you're not some street person, you're just not cool at all. Whereas I know there are Mexican gangs, I know there are like hood white people as well, but it's not the same thing. I feel like black people play street culture at the forefront. They make that the main focal point of black culture. Like, you could disagree all you want, but that's really true. I swear to goodness that's true. Look up.
No, absolutely. When it comes to the old trope about college graduation versus prison graduation. I guess it is prison graduation, the way the community side treats it. But yeah, when Pookie and Ray Ray get out of prison, the whole community side celebrates. They throw a block party. They the baddest broads are there. Hell, even some of the divestors and swallowers are there. When you, Mr. Non-stereotypical black man, graduate from college, crickets at best, and at worst, who do you think you are? You think you're better than us? Yeah, it's that. That is true. Absolutely true. Versus in white and Latino communities, which I'm just going to say they're pretty evenly matched on this, they will celebrate someone who just got out of prison as hard as they will someone who just graduated from college. You know those are facts. Absolutely. Now, there are some communities who only celebrate the college grads, and that's the reason why that's why they're kicking all of our asses.
Every black person who's rich in this world, in this society, most of them are going to be rappers or they're going to be some form of a stereotype. And you can't argue with that.
And that's on purpose, because American society only wants to see black men do antisocial things. At best, you might make money by being an athlete. And I'm talking about the people who make money and are seen in television. There are plenty of blacks who make money and are in the shadows, are low-key about it. And that's probably where you want to be, because let's just be honest, if you're making money and if you're not doing anything that's stereotypical or entertaining, then certain people are going to feel a certain way about it, and they may use their little power, or what they think is power, in order to try to knock you down by a peg or two.
Like, all you see is that in your community. Like, go to any black community, you will always see black people portraying the stereotype. And most likely, those people have a greater time within the black race. Like, they're always going to be more accepted. Like, white kids even want to, copy ghetto black people. You don't see black kids trying to copy Neil deGrasse Tyson or Basquiat. You see black kids and white kids trying to imitate NBA Youngboy or Chief Keef or King Von. Like, that's how it is. So I know there's some truth to what I'm saying, right? And I'm not the only black guy, or I'm not the only black person who has experienced what it's like to be an outsider. I have watched so many videos of black people experiencing the same exact things as me, and they also talked about it. And I watched and I read like posts on forums about black people and their experiences as well. So yeah, it's a thing that no one likes to talk about. It's always going to be the elephant in the room. So it's best for you to just, I don't know, man, just seclude yourself. That's what I did. I started to just seclude myself from black people because it's like, I kid you not, man. Everywhere I go, it's the same treatment. I lived in a lot of states, man. I lived in a lot of fucking states, and
Now, as far as the seclusion stuff, couldn't that help you? Maybe. But to be honest, I would tell this dude, the last thing you want to do is seclude yourself from society in general. Now, if you want to seclude yourself from the community, or the lower income parts of the community, or even the faux middle income parts of the community that wants to damage control and hop on the jock of lower income hood crap, yeah, seclude yourself from them. But secluding yourself from society as a whole is exactly how, no offense, you became a self-proclaimed full cell or something like that, or I don't know, it wasn't incel, but it was some other something celibate term. And trust me, when you do that, the terrorists win. Just like George W. Bush said in 2000, do not let the terrorists win. That's what they want you to do. They want you to stay inside, not shop, like the president said. But yeah, when you stay inside, when you seclude yourself, when you play video games, when you watch hentai, the community wins. And you can, I'll say community and terrorists and as a synonym at this point, because let's just be honest, no other community pressures their boys especially to be antisocial at the risk of being incels. And trust me, it's not your fault. It's not completely this guy's fault. The community pushed him to be like he is. The community pushed him to be socially awkward. The community pushed him to be this guy who seems like he doesn't have a lot of social skills. So, once again, Pookie and Shanae owe this guy reparations.
single time, it's like black people just notice. It's like black people can tell that I'm different, or they can tell I'm an outsider, because they just treat me so weird. Like, it's just so unfair, man. And I did have a couple of like black acquaintances in school, but they were always autistic or like neurodivergent, which I liked because I realized that the autistic / neurodivergent black kids, they were all cool. They were all nerds just like me. They liked the same things I liked. And most of the time, they were picked on just like I was picked on as well, So, yeah, so those were the only black kids who I took to. But all of the other black kids.
And the neurodivergent, autistic thing, let's just be honest, especially in the community side, that is overdiagnosed. I'm just going to say it like that. A lot of the neurodivergent stuff is just a way of the community saying that you don't fit into our stereotypes. So we're going to punish you by labeling you autistic or neurodivergent. I'm not saying those things don't exist, medically speaking, but when it comes to the community, trust me, they have bastardized the term to the point where I question anyone who they say is a black autistic or a black neurodivergent person. Because, let's just be honest, in any other community, they would be considered normal at the very least.
We're so focused on fitting in and trying to gain the acceptance of total strangers.
And that's true. A lot of the community are a bunch of social pussies. A lot of the community are so concerned with fitting in to this hood image that a lot of them will even ruin their lives over it. And it's the same. And it's supposed to be the same group of people who stood up to white supremacy in the past and all that kind of stuff. Look. If you can't even stand up to your own people, how the hell are you going to stand up to the rest of the world?
And that concept never made sense to me. I always thought it was trivial to seek validation from kids that you're not going to remember 10 years down the line.
Oh.
Like, no one's going to care that you came to school with the newest Jordans in 10 plus years. I always thought that was meaningless. And I'm not saying that to sound like I'm above people or that I'm smarter than people.
But you're smarter than these people.
I'm just saying, like, to me, it's so trivial to seek acceptance from human beings. It really is to me. But school aside, even within my own family, I'm treated like a black outsider, or an outsider in general. Like, I'll never forget when my older brother told me that I'm not like him. And he told me that me and him have nothing in common. One time he told me that he felt more close to our cousins or he felt like our cousin was more of a brother to him than I was. You know, he also said that he felt like his friends were more of a brother to him than I was. And that was brutal for me. At the time, I cared so much. I was deeply affected by that because, I mean, I don't know how many of you out there have an older brother, but for me, for the longest time, I've always looked up to my older brother, but he always rejected me and he always hated me. So I never got that acceptance from my older brother that I craved, you know? And I know I'm kind of
And that's something that you don't say to your younger brother, even if it is true. You don't say that shit to him. Honestly, that's just tasteless and classless.
like contradicting myself because I was just talking about acceptance, but I feel like it is different to seek acceptance from family, you know, versus a stranger. So it's kind of different, but I still contradicted myself. I'll keep myself, you know, honest. I'll be honest. But anyway, but yeah, so yeah, my brother would treat me like an outsider, and even in like family conversations, every time we had a family conversation and I tried to voice my opinion about something, you could just tell no one respected what I had to say, and it really made me stop talking. And I would seclude myself from my family. And now that I have my own apartment, I do not contact my family at all, and I don't try to go to any family outing or cookout anymore because I always sit there by myself, just faking every interaction, you know. And they always treat me like Tyrion Lannister or something, you know, like they treat me like I'm adopted pretty much. So I just gave up. I gave up, man. I gave up. It's meaningless for me to try to do anything with my family at this point because they always are going to view me as someone who does not belong. But that's the struggle when you're black, and I'm pretty sure the same thing goes for many of you. You know, just because you guys may be non-black, it does not mean that you're still not a reject within your own community. So, you know, I can only speak from the perspective of a guy who happens to be black. So that's what I try to do right now. But I may make a part two. I may make a part two. I don't know, but this was something I wanted to get off my chest. That's really about it. Take care.
All right, shout out to him. Shout out to Sloth. And yeah, this is just the story of non-stereotypical blacks. And I hate to say it, you want to call him neurodivergent, you want to call him autistic. Well, guess what? He was forced that way by the community. That's my defense of this guy. And let's go in the comment section and see if they're defending him or roasting him. So, two black for the white kids, two white for the black kids. Yep. Yep. Seems like a lot of comments. A Blackcel speaking. Listen and learn. Sheesh. A child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feed its warmth. And African proverb. For all you pro-wax out there. If they disown you for something this small, then they haven't truly cared about you to begin with. Yeah, that's true. And then, yep. Yeah, a lot of people can relate. So, shout out to all the people in the comment section. Shout out to Sloth. And let's just see what his channel's about. So, yeah, it seems like a very emo-ish channel. Videos. Wow, he doesn't have a lot of videos. Yeah, and, well, if you want to check out his channel, go on ahead. All I can say to this dude is definitely don't seclude yourself in the house. Definitely push yourself to be better. Definitely hit the gym. I covered another non-stereotypical black dude who was rejected by the community, but the one thing he had going for himself was that he was hitting the gym. He had a body, and he really wanted to show it off. Now, shout out to him too. But yeah, Sloth, you seem like the kind of guy who, I'm not sure if you stay in the house a lot, but do not let the terrorists win. Do not let the community win. And do not let anyone tell you that you are awkward or whatever just because you don't sag your fans. You don't sag your pants. You don't talk with a double-digit IQ, and you can actually use subject-verb agreement properly and use prepositions properly, and yeah, it's a cold world out here, I'm telling you. Everyone else out there, take heed. Take heed to guys like these. And don't let society get you down. That's all I can really say. Get your skills up. Get your social skills up. And I'm not just talking about like regular skills, your social skills as well. And yeah, keep your head up. That's all you can do. That's all I can say. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.